Hi everyone, welcome to Real English,
where you learn natural English for real life.
I am Paul.
And I am Emily. Let us get started.
Today we are diving deep into the world of IT infrastructure, specifically looking at how to manage and communicate major system upgrades. We are going to talk about the migration pitch.
The migration pitch is one of the toughest conversations you can have with management. You are essentially walking into an executive's office and telling them that the foundational technology the company is running on needs to be completely replaced or restructured.
And the hardest part is usually when the current system technically still works. If a server is broken and on fire, management easily understands why you need to replace it. But if the server is running and you just want to change the operating system or the network architecture because it is better for the long term, that is a very hard sell.
Because management hears the word migration and they immediately think of two things: downtime and expenses. They think, why fix what is not completely broken? Why risk crashing the entire company just to use a different software environment?
Exactly. ESL professionals, especially engineers and system architects, really struggle here. They want to migrate to a new environment because the code runs better, or the memory management is superior. But if you walk into a boardroom and just start talking about memory allocation and kernel updates, the executives will tune you out and deny the request.
You have to speak the language of business continuity. You have to prove that changing the underlying infrastructure is actually the safest, most profitable move the company can make. And today, we are going to teach you exactly how to structure that argument.
We are going to give you the ultimate framework for pitching a system migration to non-technical stakeholders. We call it the M.A.P method. M.A.P.
Let us break that down. The M stands for motivate the change. You do not start by naming the new software. You start by explaining the hidden costs of the current system. You motivate them by pointing out the invisible risks.
Right. You say, our current server environment is causing a 20% drop in deployment speed, which is costing the engineering team hours of lost productivity every week. You make the current system look like a liability.
Once they are motivated, you move to the A. A stands for architect the solution. This is where you introduce your new technical plan, but you keep it strictly focused on business capabilities, not just tech specs.
You say, by migrating to a containerized architecture, we can isolate our applications and guarantee absolute system stability. You explain what the architecture does for the business.
And finally, the P. P stands for prove the access. The biggest fear management has with a new system is that the employees will not know how to use it, or they will not be able to connect to it. You have to prove that the daily workflow will not be interrupted.
You say, even with this new server environment, the team's daily access remains completely unchanged. They can still log in securely from their laptops while traveling.
Motivate the change. Architect the solution. Prove the access. The M.A.P method. If you use this, you turn a scary technical migration into a highly logical business strategy. But to really command this conversation, we need to upgrade your infrastructure vocabulary. Let us open up the toolkit with our 5 pocket words for today.
Word number 1 is an essential verb in modern software: containerize. To containerize means to package a piece of software and all its necessary files into one single isolated unit, so it can run consistently on any computer.
You do not say, we will put the programs in their own little boxes. You say, we need to containerize our open source models so they do not interfere with each other.
Word number 2 is a noun: bare metal. In IT, bare metal refers to a physical computer server that is running directly on its own hardware without any virtualization layers in between. It means pure, raw performance.
You say, to handle this level of data processing, we need to install the operating system directly on the bare metal server to maximize our hardware efficiency.
Word number 3 is a noun: orchestration. In music, this means arranging instruments to play together. In tech, orchestration means automating and managing a large number of computer systems or software containers so they work perfectly together.
You say, as our project scales up, manual updates are impossible. We need a proper orchestration tool to manage the workflow.
Word number 4 is a fantastic business noun: compatibility. This means the ability of different machines, programs, or systems to work together without errors. Lack of compatibility is a huge business risk.
You say, staying on the current operating system is creating massive compatibility issues with our new developer tools.
And word number 5 is a hyphenated adjective: cross-platform. This describes software or networks that work seamlessly across different operating systems like Windows, Mac, or Linux.
You say, we need a cross-platform network solution so our remote team can connect regardless of what device they are using.
Containerize, bare metal, orchestration, compatibility, and cross-platform. Master these words, and you will sound like a chief technology officer. Now let us step into the Smooth It Out clinic to fix those awkward direct translations.
Let us start with how people criticize the current system. A learner might say to their boss, "The computer system we have right now is bad and makes my code break."
That sounds like a complaint, not a professional assessment. Smooth it out and sound analytical. You say, "Our current software environment is creating significant compatibility bottlenecks that are delaying our development cycle."
What about proposing the new operating system? Someone might say, "I want to delete the computer and put a new Linux system on it because it is faster."
Deleting the computer sounds terrifying to a manager. Smooth it out using our pocket words. You say, "I propose we migrate the primary server to a bare metal Ubuntu installation to maximize our processing efficiency."
Bare metal Ubuntu installation. That sounds incredibly authoritative. Now, how about explaining how the software will run? A learner might say, "I will put the programs inside separate folders so they don't fight."
Too simple. We need to sound like a modern architect. Smooth it out by saying, "We will containerize the core applications, which allows for much smoother orchestration and zero system overlap."
And finally, addressing remote work. A learner might try to reassure the boss by saying, "Do not worry, the team can still use their computers when they are not in the office."
Let us upgrade that to a guarantee. You say, "I have designed a cross-platform network protocol, ensuring the team has seamless, secure remote access even when traveling."
Excellent upgrades. It is time to put the M.A.P framework and all of our vocabulary into action. Let us move to the main event, the practice conversation.
The scenario is this. I am the lead AI architect for a tech company. We recently bought a massive high-capacity server to run and train large-scale open-source AI models.
And I am the director of operations. I control the IT policies. Currently, that big AI server is running on a standard Windows environment because that is what the rest of the company uses.
But as an AI architect, I know that running deep learning models on a standard corporate Windows environment is incredibly inefficient. It uses too much memory, the file paths break, and it is a nightmare for developers. I want to completely wipe the server. I want to install Ubuntu Linux on the bare metal and use Docker to containerize all of our AI environments.
That is a massive architectural shift. And as the director of operations, my biggest concern is the staff. Our entire engineering team travels constantly, and they all use Windows 11 Pro laptops. If Paul changes the main server to Linux, I am terrified the team won't be able to connect to the server when they are on a business trip.
But I have a solution for that too. I am going to propose we use Tailscale, which is a secure cross-platform networking tool. It will allow a Windows 11 laptop to perfectly communicate with the Ubuntu server from anywhere in the world. I am going to walk into Emily's office and use the M.A.P method to pitch this migration. Here we go. Hi, Emily. Do you have 10 minutes? I wanted to discuss the deployment status of the new AI model server.
Hi, Paul. Yes, come in. I saw the server was racked and powered on yesterday. The team must be thrilled to finally have that kind of processing power. Are we ready to start training the new models?
The hardware is fully operational, yes. However, before we begin the heavy data training, I need to propose a fundamental shift in our deployment strategy. I want to migrate the server's operating system away from our standard corporate environment.
Wait, migrate away from Windows? The IT department just finished setting it up. Why would we change the operating system now? Everyone in the company runs on that standard environment.
I understand it breaks from our usual protocol, but I have to highlight the hidden costs we are already facing. Running deep learning models natively on a standard commercial OS is creating massive compatibility bottlenecks. The system overhead is consuming almost 15% of our processing power just to keep the background tasks running. If we stay on this environment, we are essentially wasting thousands of dollars of the hardware capability we just purchased.
Wasting 15% of the processing power before we even run a model? That is significant. But moving to a non-standard OS sounds like an IT nightmare. What exactly are you proposing we use?
I want to wipe the server and deploy Ubuntu on the bare metal. In the AI development space, Ubuntu is the industry standard for open source model deployment. By running a clean Linux architecture, we reclaim all of that lost processing power.
Okay, but if we move to a bare metal Linux installation, how does the team actually manage the software? Our engineers are used to visual interfaces, not just typing code into a blank screen. I cannot afford for the entire team to spend a month just relearning how to install software.
That is exactly why I want to pair the Ubuntu installation with Docker. We are not going to install the AI models directly onto the operating system. We are going to containerize everything.
Containerize? How does that solve the learning curve for the team?
It completely standardizes the workflow. When an engineer wants to test a new open source model, they do not have to worry about complex software compatibility or breaking the main server. They just spin up a self-contained Docker environment, run their tests, and shut it down. It gives us perfect orchestration. If a model crashes, it only crashes its own container, the rest of the server stays perfectly healthy.
So it acts as a safety net. The containerization isolates the models from the core server. I do like the sound of that stability. But Paul, here is my biggest roadblock. Half of our engineering team is currently traveling for the summit. They are all carrying Windows 11 Pro laptops. If you change the central server to Linux, how are they supposed to access their tools? We cannot have them locked out of the AI models just because they are out of the office.
That is a critical point, and it is exactly why I have mapped out the network layer. I know the team relies on the flexibility of their current devices. My design ensures that a Windows 11 Pro machine can be set up so that an engineer can simply open their laptop on a business trip and instantly connect to the server without any friction.
How is that possible if the operating systems are completely different? Traditional VPNs are incredibly slow for moving heavy AI data.
We will not use a traditional slow VPN. I am proposing we deploy Tailscale across the engineering department. It is a zero-config, cross-platform mesh network. We install the Tailscale node on the Ubuntu server and the client application on the team's Windows 11 laptops. It creates a direct, peer-to-peer secure tunnel.
A direct tunnel, so the operating system difference does not matter.
Exactly. It completely bridges the gap. To the engineer sitting in a hotel room in Tokyo, it will look exactly like the AI server is sitting right next to them on their local network. They get the absolute processing power of the bare metal Ubuntu server, but they maintain the comfort and remote flexibility of their Windows 11 Pro laptops. It is a totally seamless remote model management experience.
That is a very compelling architecture, Paul. We get the efficiency of Linux and the container stability of Docker, but the team does not lose their remote Windows access.
Precisely. We maximize our hardware investment without disrupting the daily workflow of the traveling engineers. If I can get your sign-off today, I can have the bare metal installation and the Tailscale network fully deployed by Friday morning.
You have engineered a very smart solution to this, Paul. The compatibility and the remote access were my only real concerns, and you have solved both. Proceed with the migration. Let us get that server running at maximum capacity.
Fantastic. I will begin the environment wipe this afternoon. Thank you, Emily.
And scene! Paul, you absolutely negotiated that like a true tech leader. That is an incredibly complex proposal to get approved in under 5 minutes.
It really is, but it worked because I didn't get lost in the weeds of the programming code. I used the M.A.P method perfectly. I started by motivating the change. I didn't just say Windows was bad, I pointed out that the system overhead was wasting 15% of our expensive hardware. That immediately got your attention as a manager.
It absolutely did. Anytime you tell a director that hardware they just bought is being wasted, they will listen to your alternative. And then you move to architect the solution. You introduced Ubuntu and Docker, but you explained them in terms of business value. You explained that containerizing the models acts as a safety net for the system.
Exactly. I translated the technology into business stability. And finally, the most important part, I proved the access. You brought up a very realistic managerial concern, the traveling team using Windows 11 Pro laptops. If I couldn't solve that, the whole pitch would have died right there.
But you already had the cross-platform solution ready. You introduced Tailscale and explained how it creates a secure tunnel. You explicitly painted a picture of an engineer opening their laptop on a business trip and seamlessly connecting to the server. You reassured me that the workflow wouldn't be interrupted.
And the vocabulary gave me so much authority. Using terms like bare metal, compatibility bottlenecks, containerize, orchestration, and cross-platform showed that I wasn't just guessing. I had a holistic enterprise-level plan for the entire department.
This is a masterclass for any IT professional, system administrator, or lead developer. You will constantly have to defend your choice of architecture to people who do not understand the architecture.
Remember, they do not need to understand how the code works. They just need to understand how the architecture protects the business, speeds up the deployment, and supports the staff.
If you can bridge the gap between technical infrastructure and corporate strategy, your career will skyrocket. You will move from just maintaining the systems to actually designing the future of the company.
Thank you so much for joining us in the